Hey everybody, welcome back. This is our second video. We're gonna make a character. My character doesn't have any animation in it yet, so that'll be a future video. But just to get the physics down of having a character that can move with the keys, can jump from platform to platform, and yeah, you have the camera follow it. So let's do it. So here's my script. You'll see that in my on start, I'm using functions because that just tidies everything up, keeps things organized. So I have a function called create hero sprite. That's just this function over here. Normally I'll have it hidden because once you're done, you're done. But you can take a look and see what's going on here. Okay, so actually I'm going to reorder this slightly just to group things together. I will do it like this. I think this is probably the best way to look at it. So you are probably quite familiar with the first line here, the set my sprite to sprite of kind player. This is where you could choose the initial visual of your sprite, and we've been doing this since September, so you have a good sense of this probably, how this works. Then here's something new. This is we can set the my sprite acceleration in the y direction to a number. So this block, it's not obvious where it is. If you go to sprites, it is this one right here. This is the set my sprite. It says X by default, but you can do this drop down list and you can pick all sorts of different things. And I haven't even explored a few of these things, like setting friction. That sounds interesting. Setting scale. We've been kind of struggling with scale occasionally, so there might be lots of things we can do with this block. But what does it mean to set acceleration? Let me delete this. So setting acceleration means that it's going to constantly be accelerating in the y direction at this rate. And you can adjust this number to control, but that means basically accelerating downwards. It's going to be accelerating down, and that's going to give us our gravity. This block right here gives our hero sprite gravity. The whole world doesn't have gravity, just this sprite does, so other things don't obey it, but this sprite will accelerate downwards. You could also give it acceleration in other directions if you want to, if you wanted to make it so that gravity suddenly turned up, or something silly like that. So lots of interesting possibilities here. But this is the gravity code. Okay, so next, we want to be able to move the sprite with our buttons, and so this will allow us to use the directional pad to move our character, but you do have to open this up and make sure you don't cancel out the VY. So you need to set that to 0. If you don't set it to 0, then when you're moving left and right, it will cancel out the gravity because acceleration is a change in velocity, and we're just going to negate velocity if we do it that way. So we're going to put VX to whatever number you want for the speed that you think is good for your game. But VY needs to be 0. So that's pretty important. And then the next line of code, camera follow my sprite. So, obviously all these have to be the same name. Camera follow means that as you move, the camera follows it. And it looks like it's actually the background that's moving. Classic platformer, interface, right? So this will make that happen. And then last but not least, I've drawn this tile. I've just made a custom tile. I'll show you how I do that. So inside of the tile map, I can go to my tiles and you can see the tiles I've drawn. You can just click on a plus sign and you get a little editor that lets you draw in an interesting looking tile, or it doesn't have to be interesting looking, I guess, but just a new tile. And I've drawn this one here. And so I've just placed that on the map and you can see it's right here. So I can write code that will find that tile. And now I've only have one of them. So it's a little bit misleading, but it says place my sprite on top of random one of these. So there's only one of them. So if I pick a random one, it's always going to pick the same one. So that's kind of like my spawn location. So this indicates where my character will spawn. If I had more than one of them, then I could spawn at a random one. So that might actually be interesting. I wonder what you could do with that. Might make an interesting game where you don't know where you're spawning. There's different spawn points. But at the moment, just because I have one, this will basically send my sprite to that part of the tile map, which I think is a really handy feature to have. Okay, so there you go. There's my character. Excuse me. That's what will make our character jump around, land on platforms and be able to be controlled by the keys. So that's a great start to your project. If you can have these 2 lessons, you the first one being making platforms and drawing tile maps, and the second one, this one, being make a character, you have effectively a platformer. It's not a game yet, but it certainly has got a lot of the mechanics going on. Okay, stay tuned for the next video, folks. Thank you.